Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It is exactly 8:30 a.m. Our next guest is member of the PSA, that's the Palestine Solidarity Alliance, and that, of course, is Hassen Lorgat. I am very excited to be talking with him today. We are going to be looking at the killing of the Palestinian journalist Shireen Abu Akleh, and if time permits, we will talk about other issues that's plaguing people all around the world. We understand that Israel has put out a media statement suggesting that it will not launch a criminal investigation into the killing of Al Jazeera journalist Shireen Abu Akleh. They have gone on to say that there is a high possibility that Shireen was accidentally, the key word being accidentally hit by Israeli army fire, but emphasized that it would not be launching a criminal investigation into her killing. Salaam alaikum to you, Brother Hassan Lorgat. Welcome to the program. And that is,
Walaikum
in fact,
salam.
very, very careless, very uncaring, very unempathetic. And I guess we can't have expected anything more or less from these occupiers, these murderous occupiers, might I add that. And that, of course, is the Israeli occupation in Palestine.
Uh, Julie, thanks for having me. I think that it's almost 4 months to the day that our beloved Shireen was killed on 11th of May. And your sentiments, and I guess in a way you're speaking the words of the family, because they always were very suspicious of an Israeli investigation. The family basically said that you could not expect those who are responsible for such an act to investigate themselves. And many, many other institutions. Uh, uh, in fact, the Al Jazeera yesterday reported that in the first 24 hours of Shireen's killing, the Israeli state had four different versions of what it wanted, what it said happened. Like she killed herself, the Palestinians killed her. It was just everything possible. They wanted to see what will stick. And but I mean, I still think that the outcry from the American media, the South African media is quite muted. The New York Times yesterday said the headline was "In Shift, Israel says journalist was most likely shot by Israeli soldier." It goes on to say that while it admitted that, it stopped short of definitely accepting responsibility for her death. Ultimately, that is the issue. They are trying to shift the blame, and in fact, this is the army that claims it's the most moral army in the world, right? In their statement, they were, I mean, if you read it, and I try to put it on my Facebook page, it looks like they were saying when the bullet was sent to them, oh, well, we couldn't conclusively say if this was the bullet. That's how they go. And they ended their statement as follows. The chief of staff received findings of the review and concluded that the investigation held was thorough and comprehensive, right? And we turned over every stone. This is how they go. And what they do, they start saying that they turned over every stone and that Palestinian terrorists were shooting. And in this challenge, the IDF tried to protect press freedom. And but at the end of the day, they killed the journalist. But they tried to put a spin on this, right? The journalist was in an area where there was a skirmish, for almost an hour. So this is all they can come up with, and no one's believing it. This is impunity. And I think, again, what we're having is that we can talk about every right, but there's an exceptionalism, everything but Palestinians. So, yeah, she's an American. You see now movies how they would bomb, they'll send Rambo and whatever to make sure that the Americans' remains are caught. She's a Palestinian American. And it seems there's a double standard there. They treat her as a lesser American and as a lesser human being. But clearly, it's yeah, they have taken responsibility, and prosecutions must go to the criminal court. the International Criminal Court, it must go everywhere else. But these people have killed journalists, not only this one, I think it was about 22 at the last count I took. And this is how it goes. It's impunity is what we are talking about.
So, Hassan, obviously, if this was a white Western journalist that was killed, American or other, the narrative would have been very different. You and I would have been having a totally different discussion here and now.
Yes, yes. And I think that in a way, she was a soldier or a peaceful warrior, one fighting a cause that is not much loved by the Israeli state and the Americans. It's for that reason that they ignore her. They would go out of their way to get an American black soldier who keeps American power in place. But you know that if you read their statement, it is still, I mean, it is headed final conclusions from the investigation which resulted in the death. This is the IDF, the most moral army in the world, as they say, and it sounds like apartheid speak. You know,
Mm.
since the devastating incident, the IDF has thoroughly reviewed the circumstances of Ms. Akleh's death. From that purpose, the Chief of General appointed a dedicated task force. It's all words, all words. The truth is, it's to evade responsibility for killing an innocent civilian doing her work. And Shireen had a track record talking truth. She was regarded as, as a national icon because she went in there to speak for Palestinians. She speak for the neglected cause of their rights. You know, she's a veteran journalist of Al Jazeera, and she was born in Jerusalem, and she studied in Jordan, and then she worked in various other places, in the Gaza wars. She covered all of them, by the way: 2008, 2009, 2012, 2014, 2021. Is that the reason why they wanted to silence her? Because she took her job too seriously. You know, they wanted to.
Again, mhm. Again, I
So sorry.
pose the question, and that is, had this been a white journalist, a white foreign journalist that had been killed, we would be having a different discussion here today. What I'm very surprised, but perhaps I shouldn't be surprised because it does indicate that black and brown lives, and I say this all the time, black and brown lives do not matter. Black and brown lives does not matter as far as the Western world or the white world is concerned. And I'm also wondering about the silence of the Americans because she was an American citizen, was she not?
That's true. I do say that white American citizens who go out to the Gaza, to the West Bank, to protest alongside Palestinians, when they die, they're not treated as heroes in America. So I think that the the crossing of the line is whether you are pro Israel and pro America or standing for the rights of Palestinians. You know, um, and there are white comrades who've died there, killed, trampled over by bulldozers and that they don't count. So I think that her crime was she was Palestinian and speaking truth to power. But I want to come back to the point of what the family said, right? We don't expect war criminals to investigate their own crimes, said Lina Abu
Absolutely.
Akleh, the journalist's niece, in a telephone interview with the New York Times. But we want the US to take action. This has been our call since day one for the US to carry out an independent and credible investigation.
Chances of that happening are very slim, are they not? That being said, Hassan, you are the member of the PSA. Things have, in all my time in media, and I mean, it goes back many, many years, I've watched the story of Palestine grow and grow. In the same vein, I've seen the rights of the Palestinian people diminish and diminish. And as their rights are being diminished over the years, the stronger the occupiers have become, the more land they have grabbed. And it's almost as if the Palestinian people don't exist. They're almost a non existent, unidentifiable, faceless people. That is the intent of the occupiers, is it not? I think we've lost the connection there with Hassan. Let us
Our
just
reception is poor
Oh,
here.
there you go. Okay. Did you hear my
And
statement,
I don't like it.
Hassan? Hassan, did you get my question and statement just now? Okay, let's go for a break. We're going to try and reconnect with Hassan on another line. So please don't go away. Stay with us. I am talking to Hassen Lorgat. He's a member of the Palestine Solidarity Alliance. We're talking about the murder of Shireen Abu Akleh and broadly about the struggles of the Palestinian people.
Humanity.
Did you know that through SANZAF, you can provide a meal to an individual for only 12 Rand? By committing to a monthly contribution, you can assist us in reaching out to more communities and deserving individuals. A once-off donation will also be highly appreciated in helping us achieve our monthly target. For more information, call us on 011 834 6046. SANZAF, changing lives through development and relief.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042 203 1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Kids these days are smart, and when you're competing for their attention against their smartphones, you need to make smart choices, like using Sunfoil triple refined pure sunflower oil in every meal you make. It's naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether you're cooking, frying, or baking, you get the great tasting results that'll get their attention faster than the latest app. And if that doesn't work, change the Wi-Fi password. Sunfoil. Now we're cooking.
For a long time, we've lived in a centralized world where institutions held the all-important data and confirmed all transactions. Those times are over. Welcome to Libertas Group, a blockchain development company boasting an ecosystem that continually redefines the way we do business. Our blockchain is decentralized, making it immune to hacking or alteration, putting the power back in your hands with no middleman so you can focus on the growth of your business. Libertas, the simplest investment choice you'll make.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Welcome back. We have another 7 minutes or so with our guest Hassen Lorgat. We're talking about, obviously, the killing or the murdering or assassination, whichever word sits best with you, of the Al Jazeera journalist Shireen Abu Akleh, and of course, the issue around the occupiers of Palestine and their intent in annihilating the Palestinian people and obviously just taking over the lands and dispossessing Palestinians from Palestine. Are you back with us, Hassen Lorgat, and can you hear me loudly and clearly?
Thank you very much. There was an ESCOM blurb. I take responsibility for that. Sorry.
Okay, blame it on ESCOM. I do that all the time, no worries. Let's look at you've heard that statement of mine. How do you want to respond to that? And then let's also look at the issue around the intent, the deliberate intent of America to have this presence of the Israelis in the Middle East. What is underpinning all of that? Do they need to have a watchdog in the Middle East to keep an eye on all of those Middle Eastern leaders, rulers? Call them what you will. Does it suit them to have this very strong military presence in the Middle East? And apart from that, as far as the geopolitics is concerned in the Middle East, is it still about oil? Getting their hands on oil reserves. So let's unpack that in the time that we have left, inshallah.
Julie, I mean, the questions you ask clearly is subject of a webinar on its own. It's clear that Israel is the policeman for Western American interests and their way of life, as seen by the elites, right? And therefore keep in check all those who differ there. I mean, it is believed that the Israeli state and its army played a role in some of the assassinations of people inside Russia. It intervenes in the Ukraine war. So clearly, the sophistication and the power of their army, backed by American resources, clearly gives them a geopolitical strategic role, which is both to kind of control the aspirations for democracy and freedom in that part of the world, and also material resources such as oil, water. Water is a critical resource because the future wars will be fought over over
Absolutely.
water, right? So they play that role. In fact, most of the West Bank's water has been stolen by the Israelis, who give Palestinians less water than the Israelis obtain on a daily basis. Palestinians have a ration. The Israelis do not have. So uh, if anyone doubts that this is um, apartheid, they should look at how water is spent. But I wanted to come back to you partly where the change will come. The change will come, of course, by the efforts that we make in this country. And there are so many Palestinian solidarity groups in the world that have grown and have put the pressure on them. But where we've not managed to, at this stage, succeed is to tackle the impunity. And that we have to go to the United States. Um, Rashida Tlaib uh, defeated Apex billions of dollars that they put in to try and defeat her, or hundreds of millions, right? Because she's a Palestinian American. So as long as those voices are there in the American society around groups like Black Lives Matter, etc., we will be making great progress. But here's the problem. The Intercept newsletter pointed out that the images of war that we see and take for granted in our society, on our social media pages, in our media, is rarely seen in America. Israel bombs with impunity. The last time they wounded 350, the last attack on the Gaza in August, and 46 people were killed, right? Resulted uh, in them losing their lives, destituting their families, putting into rubble many of their homes, right? Those images of brutality, the assassinations of kids, right? Those pictures of the burials, right? The fumes, the bomb smoke going up. Americans don't see that. You don't see them regularly on MSNBC, CNN, Fox, and any of the other news. It's a blackout, right? You only see the news that they want us to see regarding Palestine. And this story of Shireen's presents some hope if we can keep the focus on it in a real sense. Even in South Africa, there are some journalists with a high caliber of integrity, but have rarely spoken out against the death of Shireen Abu Akleh. And it's this radio station must call them up. They must call the likes of these professors of journalism and elsewhere in our media to join in. The last time we engaged the SANEF and they gave a statement condemning this killing, but what we want them to do is to condemn this apartheid style justification for it and the failure to have further investigations. And this is how we make the struggle grow further. And yes, you've said it, that it's to control people, the fear of Islam. And then if they fear Islam, they fear particularly Islam because they're friends with some Muslims. So they go back to what Mamdani spoke about, good Muslim, bad Muslim. There are some good Muslims in the holy place of Saudi Arabia, right? And bad Muslims are seen as those who challenge the American line. This is
Absolutely. You've just preempted my next question. We do have to wrap up. Let me just put these two questions to you. They're very important. I'd like a response from you. We spoke about the very important reason for the Western powers to have a war machine, Israel being a war machine in the Middle East to obviously subdue the Middle Eastern dictators and rulers in that part of the world. And I'm wondering, why is that necessary? Because the majority of those dictators are friends of Israel. They're friends of America. They're puppets of America. So why is it still necessary for them to be in place? Or are they afraid of an uprising by the Palestinian people? Question number one. And question number two, where to from here for Shireen Akleh's family, the assassinated journalist Shireen Akleh's family? How do they get closure now on this issue? So those two questions, please, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, just to come back, let's deal with this one here. The war, if you want to put it, is not just military. Israel has got a lot of military sophistication, but Iran, Yemenis, and others have all been building drones, Turkey, and outside the influence of the American war machine. So that's one side of the battle. The other side of the battle is what we are dealing with, hearts and minds, which is the main battle, where Facebook, Google, and others have censored our voices. So our voices of justice and speaking truth to power is blocked, while they amplify and sanitize the Israeli crimes and their narratives. They make it palatable to us to say, well, it's an error, we've investigated it, we've done that. So this is the real war that we are facing, so that our people here can be divided, so they can say no. Because truth be told, Islam has no war against Judaism. Islam has no war against the other faiths, right? But there is a way of fighting it. First, there'd be the big fight against Islam, and then the fight will be between Sunni and Shia to try and fragment the collective power of Muslims working in the interests of the broader communities, the Ummah, the people at large. And this is the kind of battle that we have to face. The family, being part American and having the support of Al Jazeera, various other journalist organizations, will have to keep up the pressure. And I think that they have no option but to go to the ICC. But Israel's halo of being the most moral, the only democracy in the country, having the only moral army in the world, every day gets dismembered as they kill teenagers, young defenseless men and women, and bomb up buildings. These images are denied Americans. They don't see them. But every day, people are becoming more and more aware of the lies they tell. That's where the battle's at.
Hassen Lorgat, Palestine Solidarity Alliance. Obviously, you are a member and a very active member at that. Always a pleasure talking to you. Till the next time, as always, keep us in your du'as, and salamu alaikum to you.
Alaikum salam wa
8:54, in a minute or two, inshallah, we'll be joined by the daughter of the late Imam Abdullah Harun. She is Fatima Harun Massoud, to talk about the inquest into her father's death under the apartheid era regime.